Greetings to all my dear students. I hope all of you are doing good. I'm your new English teacher, Ketan Bora, and I'm here to facilitate your learning. So students, in this video lecture, we're going to discuss the very first poem of your Beehive book, that is The Road Not Taken, and it is penned by Robert Frost. Now, before we start understanding what the poem is about, let us quickly know who Robert Frost was. Okay. So about the poet over here, follow down the notes section. So Robert Frost was an American poet. Robert Frost, he was an American poet. Okay, please follow it up. So I'm writing about the poet. He was an American poet. So he was an American poet and he was born on 26th of March 1874. Okay, 1874. And the basic theme of his poems was nature. Okay, so basically in most of the poems, this forms the basic theme of his poems, nature. Okay, but in this poem, the central idea, is choices. So choices is the central idea of the poem, The Road Not Taken. Okay, so we'll understand this, how this forms the central idea when we discuss the poem. Okay, so by the time you can just pen these things down. This is just basic information, but for the exams, the name of the poet and the poem is extremely important. So you should know what the name of the poem is and who is the poet. These two things are actually extremely important. These two things are here. These are extremely important, and this is just to enhance your knowledge. Okay, now let us move on with the poem. And the very first stanza reads: Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Now in the very first stanza, we come to know that the poet has reached at a point on the road where the road further divides into two different roads. Okay, so this road, it now divides into two different roads. It diverges. Okay, so the first stanza, the very first line of the first stanza, let us understand the very first line of the first stanza. The two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Diverged meaning part. To part, that is the meaning of diverge. So this road parted into two different roads. Okay, and these roads were going through a yellow wood. Now wood means forest. Okay, wood means forest. Okay, and yellow over here, it refers to the forest during the autumn season. Okay, so yellow refers to the forest during the autumn season. You must, as you can see in the picture there, the leaves are yellowish. So this is the forest during the autumn season. So in the first line he says it was the autumn season and the leaves were yellowish in color, and he came across a point on the road where this road, where he was standing on, it diverged into two different roads. So it parted into two different roads. Okay, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. Since the poet was a single traveler, so he said, naturally, as I'm a single traveler, I probably won't be able to travel both the roads at the same time. So therefore I'll have to make a choice between which road to choose. And being one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could. So he says, since I was a lone traveler, since I was one traveler, so for me to take both the roads were not possible. So I stood there thinking which road to take. Okay, so he's standing at a point, he's right in front of him, there are two different roads, and he's not very much sure which road to take. So he's researching, or he's thinking on the roads, which one to take. Third line, and looked down one as far as I could. Then he says that he looked down on a wood. Now third line of the poem, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. So he's saying now he's standing there. Now he tries to look what lies ahead on the roads. Okay, but sadly he wasn't able to look, for a distance, because these roads, they kind of got disappeared in the bushes and the shrubs. Over here, undergrowth means bushes. Okay, over here, undergrowth means bushes. So this is the very first paragraph all about. I'm going to repeat this over, pay attention. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So at the end he says that I was trying to look what lies ahead, but unfortunately these roads, they got disappeared in the bushes. Next paragraph. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted fair. Though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. This paragraph again. Then took the other as just as fair. Then he says that I was standing there, I was researching. Then I took the other road. So he took the other road. Other means the second one out of the two. Then he took the other road, because it seemed a fair one. Because this seems, the other road, it seemed a fair choice. It seemed a choice fair and free of troubles, and having perhaps the better claim. And it looked like that it is claiming something better than the first road or the first path, because it was grassy and it wanted wear. So this road was completely grassy. Now grassy, when we read this word grassy, it means it was less traveled or less taken, or I would rather say not taken. That's what the name of the poem is. So grassy means over here, it was very less traveled. It was hardly traveled, and it wanted where? Last word. It means it wanted people to walk on it. It wanted people to walk on it. This is a figure of speech that I'll tell at the end of the poem. Okay. So again, the first 3 lines, pay attention. Then he took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim. Then he took the other one because it looked like a fair choice, and it claimed something better, because it was grassy and it wanted wear. So he took this one because it was grassy and it was less traveled. So he took the road which was less traveled, and it wanted wear means it wanted people to walk on. Though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. Then he says that after walking for a couple of miles, he felt that somewhere both the roads are the same. Okay, these 2 lines means that for walking for a couple of miles, he felt that both the roads are somewhere the same. Okay, so he was probably walking down on the second road, and then his mind, it kind of moves on to the first road, and now he's thinking that somewhere both the roads are the same. Okay, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Again he says, that morning both the roads to me, now both the roads to the poet are appearing equal. And then he says, in leaves no step had trodden back. Trodden means over here, Trodden, means returned. It means returned. So he says that the path I'm walking and the path which I rejected, the path which I'm walking in and the path which I rejected, it looked like no step has ever returned back. So I'm walking on this path, and this path is looking like that no step has ever returned back. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Then he says that I kept the first path rather for some other day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way. Now this is something really important. This line is something really important. Now over here you must have heard the old saying that one lie leads to the other. Similarly, he says that the choice you make will definitely open up or shut the choices or the options for you. Yet knowing how way leads on to way. If you make a right choice, it will probably you open up options for you in life. But if you make a wrong choice, it might shut all the options for you in life. Okay. Example is like, if you study, if you give time to to your books, if you give time to your education, probably you're going to have a very bright future. Okay? And if you don't, if you act lazy, if you act clumsy, then probably your future is in trouble. Similarly over here he says, yet knowing how one way leads on to the other way. Okay? I doubted if I should ever come back. So he said that although I've taken this path and I'm walking, but I'm still not sure whether I'll be able to come back or not. I'm going to read this paragraph again, pay attention. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how one way leads to, how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverse in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. So he said. Now in the concluding paragraph he says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Sigh is actually a symbol or a sign of emotion. It can be in a happy way, it can be in a sad way. Okay, so he said that I could be telling this with a sigh. It can be it can be the happiest possible way, or it can be the saddest possible way. It can be either ways. Somewhere ages and ages hence. Now this line is again important. Ages and ages hence means after years. Okay, ages means after years. Okay, so he says that. So he might be telling what the end result was after years, not now but after years. Because I'll give you an example. After class 12th, whatever course you pursue, the end result you get is at the end of the course. Okay, whatever end result you get is at the end or at the completion of that course. Okay, so similarly over here he says, and that completion takes time. So similarly over here he's saying, I've made this choice, but what the end result of the choice was, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not very much sure what the end result of the choice was, and this I'm going to tell, or this I'm going to kind of reveal after years. And this can be in a happy way or it can be in a sad way. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. So he says, there were two roads which diverged in a wood, and I took the road which was less travelled by, and this has made all the difference. And whatever difference, wherever I am in life today, it is because of the road that I took, which was the less travelled one. Okay, now quickly let us understand the figure of speeches that are used in this poem. Okay, so in the first line, okay, no, not in the first line, over here, in this first line of the second paragraph rather, as just as fair. This is a figure of speech known as simile. Okay, wherever a comparison is made using as or like, it is a simile. Okay, now in the third line again, it was grassy and it wanted where. It was grassy and it wanted where means it was grassy and it wanted people to walk on it. I've explained you the meaning of this line in the poem earlier, that the road was grassy and it wanted people to walk on it. Now a road can never want anything, because a human can want, but a non-living thing never wants anything. Okay, so whenever human qualities or whenever human attributes are given to a non-living thing or a non-human object, that is known as personification. So this is personification. Okay, this is the personification figure of speech. As it wanted where means it wanted people to walk on it, but a road can never want anything because it's a non-living object, so therefore it is a personification. Okay, And then we have the first, second, and third line. Look at it. It begins with and when the two or more than two consecutive lines, they begin with the same word or the same phrase, that figure of speech is known as anaphora. ANAPHORA. That figure of speech is known as anaphora. Okay, so we have simile over here, we have anaphora over here, we have personification over here. Now, if in a line there are two or more than two words which begin with a consonant sound. Example, look at this line, look at this line, third line, because this one, okay? Because it was grassy, it wanted, it were. So now there are three words beginning with the same sound, W, consonant sound rather. So these three words, they begin with the same sound and they are in the same line. So if there are more than two words, or there are two or more than two words in a single line and they begin with the same consonant sound, that means the figure of speech known as alliteration is being used. ALLITERATION. So this is alliteration. When there are the words which begin with the same sound in a single line, that is alliteration. Okay, so these are the couple of figure of speeches that are being or that have been used in this poem. Okay, over here we have yellow wood. This acts as a symbol. It symbolizes forest. Okay, yeah. So these are the main figure of speeches that are used: simile, personification, and alliteration, and anaphora. The four major figure of speeches are used in this poem. Okay, students, I'm going to conclude this lecture out. Okay, till then everyone play safe.